Last week, we talked about the positive intent of your limiting beliefs. Our weight problems are actually solutions. They're solutions to something else that we're dealing with in our life. When we dig into the positive intent, that starts to uncover for us what our weight is trying to solve. We're ultimately trying to solve those problems with something other than eating or other than the habits that are keeping us in a body that we don't want to be in. For today, we get to redraw these maps. We've been doing this writing exercise. What I'd like you to do is get that exercise back out, one that has the most amount of emotional charge to it. And just take a moment to consider this belief. Consider how it's held you back. Consider how it's an obstacle to you moving forward. And really get in that place of frustration where you're just like, I can't figure this out. This is this thing. I can't think outside of this. I can't think beyond it. This is just my reality right now. And then I want you to pause and take a slow breath in. So nice and slow. And then sigh it out. And then I want you to imagine that you are sitting down with a person. And this person is actually you in 5 years. I want you to imagine that you have figured out this problem. You no longer struggle with this problem. You're all the positive things you want to be, and you are fully compassionate. So there's no part of you that's critical or wants to shame. You understand. And you, 5 years from now, you understand what you're dealing with now more than anybody could ever understand. So you're sitting down with you and you start telling you all of these struggles that you're dealing with. I've got this weight problem and I can't get through it because of this and because of this and because of this limiting belief. And you're sharing this with 5-year you. What would you in 5 years, how would you respond to you? You might not know the answer right off the bat. You might be like, well, I don't know. I've got this problem. How would I know? But I just want you to ask, what if you knew? What could 5-year you respond? You're thinking about this response. I want you to consider that you in 5 years would not give you just a straight on, well, that's wrong. They would actually give you an all-encompassing yes, and consider this as well. So an example might be if your limiting belief is that weight loss is hard. You in 5 years might say, yes, weight loss can be very, very difficult. Think of it this way though. Consider anything that's hard in your life, other things that have been hard in your life that you have successfully done. Maybe it was a big test at the end of high school or college that you took. They're hard if we just show up to them expecting that it'll all fall into place, right? But what about when you've taken the time to sit down and prioritize, okay, this hard thing is coming. Let's come up with systems. Let's come up with rhythms and routines that we can build around it. So think of that hard thing. Think of that test that you did where maybe you did a lot of preparation and when you showed up, you rocked it. Or maybe it was something at work that you did or a relationship that a rocky time with a relationship, something where it was very, very difficult. But because you came up with a plan, you came up with these routines, you were actually able to make that thing quite easy. And also think about the things in your life now that are challenges that you find really enjoyable. The key to you finding them enjoyable is because it was a challenge and you put attention on it and you figured it out and you brought all of your resources to bear on it. And now it's something that you do for flow. So that's an example of what 5 years down the line might say to you, but this needs to come from you, right? So take the time to just sit, get into a quiet place. Maybe if your family's around and everything's chaotic, that's not the good time to do this kind of an exercise. But maybe right before you go to bed, or maybe when you wake up in the morning, if you just have time to yourself, really ask yourself, what would 5 years from now me say to me that knows I've accomplished this, I've overcome this struggle? That's the exercise. That is how you are going to begin to redraw those inner maps. The last thing I will leave you with, in addition to this, so after you've written this all-encompassing, maybe it's a whole paragraph, whatever comes from inside that you're able to pull out of you, write those things down. And then your homework for this week is, I want you to each day take one of the things you've written and find an example in real life that proves that. So maybe it's an example that you've lived yourself, or maybe it's somebody else that you're observing doing that, embodying that thing 5 years from now, has shared with you.